Before we get started, go ahead and pause this video and read the question to yourself. This is a classic distance equals rate times time problem. So before I ever get started, I like to draw a little visual to help me set up my equation. I'm going to go ahead and draw an H for home and a G for Guam, because it says an aircraft carrier is making a trip to Guam and back. Then I'm going to go ahead and write down the information that's helpful for me. It says a trip there took 3 hours and the trip back took 4 hours. Then it says on the return trip, so on the way home, it averaged 6 kilometers per hour. So now we have to find the average speed of the trip there. Because it's a classic distance equals rate times time problem, I'm going to go ahead and label the speed of my trip there as R, kilometers per hour. So this is, as I said before, distance equals rate times time. We're looking at the trip to Guam and back. What we're going to do is we're going to set up two equations in order to go ahead and solve for R, figure out what R is. So the distance is the distance between home and Guam, and no matter which direction you're going, the distance is always going to stay the same. So I'm going to keep them as D. If I'm looking at the trip to Guam, I don't know what my rate is, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it as R. And the time is 3 hours. If I'm looking at the trip back, my rate is 6, and my time is 4 hours. So here's a cool little trick. Because your distances are the same, because they're equal, we can go ahead and set these two equal to each other. So in order to do that, in order to set them equal to each other, I have 3R equals 6 times 4, which is 24. In order to get R, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So my average speed on the trip there is going to be 8 kilometers per hour. Now, because this isn't a multiple choice, we kind of have a hard time figuring out, well, did we get it right? Was it really that easy? Here's one good indication. So look back at the original situation. It took less time to get there. So when it takes less time, you're typically going at a higher speed. When it takes more time, you're typically going slower. So since it's taking less time to get there, we should be going faster on this trip than we did in this trip. So since this answer is 8, it is bigger than 6. So that is a really good indicator on whether or not we did this problem correct, and it is.